Mercedes seems to be in deep trouble after the first testing session of the weekend wrapped up at Bahrain. The W15 promised a lot with its changes, but the session results show them failing to put down competitive times on track compared to the other front runners. The Silver Arrows ended day one with George Russell down in 12th place with a lap time that was more than 2.7 seconds behind Max Verstappen, who topped the sheets. The team also took a gamble going into the tests by taking 25 sets of the medium compound tyre, leaving them with only 4 sets of hards and 8 sets of softs. While other teams chose fewer yellow-walled mediums, Mercedes believes they will be able to gather enough data with the selected number of tyres. Still, today, most teams decided to run on the mediums and saw the best lap times from those tyres, but even then, Mercedes struggled to keep up. After the new car was launched more than a week ago, it was predicted that Mercedes would finally be able to compete for wins, as the team chose a completely new approach for their 2024 Challenger. Even team officials seemed to be optimistic with the way the car turned out, with many innovations all around the chassis and gearbox. At the car launch, team principal Toto Wolff explained what the team did over the winter break and how they expected to perform on the track. He said, "This is a complete relaunch of a car. It is very different, not only aerodynamically, but underneath the car too. There have been so many mechanical changes, which we hope will translate into more performance, more predictability, and a car the drivers can really push. The most important thing is to look inward and what is it that we got wrong. We found some clues. We tried to eliminate as many variables as we could, and the buzz in the company is something I have not seen for so many years. We know it is a big mountain to climb because if a team is so far ahead like Red Bull were last year, then it is not easy. But we have a superb driver combination and hopefully a fast car. There are some good ingredients to be back at the front again. Even after the limited cost cap each team had, Mercedes could come up with a completely new chassis and at the same time work on the car's gearbox. They pushed the cockpit further towards the back to improve the floor and reduce the size and weight of the gearbox. This made the car more balanced overall, especially after last year's car had a highly unpredictable rear end. Talking about the problem that plagued the W15, driver George Russell spoke about how it made it difficult to drive the car and how fixing it would help them find more time on the track. Russell added, "We made progress with some of the nastier characteristics of the W14 throughout last year, but we still had a narrow operating window, and once we were outside of that, the car was difficult to drive. If we can continue to widen the operating window of the car, that will provide confidence for us as a driver, and from there lap time is easier to find." The team's technical director, James Allison, was also pleased with the development of the new car, which supposedly shares only a handful of parts with last year's model. He explained that the team did all that was possible within the limited budget and how the cost cap had affected their ability to work on the car. A new chassis and gearbox were standard for each year pre-budget cap, he explained. The latter usually forces you to choose, but there are teams like us who have opted to change both. There is no doubt that having a new outer casing of the gearbox and at the same time having a new chassis are two big projects that take a part of our financial means. This means that in other parts of the car we have not pushed as much development. I feel like we delivered on all the things we said we wanted to do. Some aspects are unlimited, and therefore you can never be fully satisfied," he added. "However, we won't know until we actually get the machine moving. But I think we can say that we feel like we've done a good job." But their time on the track has fans fearing the team may be in an even worse position than they were next year. We do not currently know what type of fuel load Russell was running and whether he was pushing the car to its limits or not, but after 121 laps in the car, everyone expected better results. Russell was the driver who spent the second most amount of time in the car on day one after Max Verstappen, and the team must have run the car in all sorts of configurations to learn more about the new design. Russell was also forced into the pits just 19 laps into the session, though the team reported that as just normal test adjustments. As the session progressed, Mercedes' standing fell, and they were outperformed by Williams as well. And even if we ignore Red Bull's enormous lead over everyone else, they were still more than 1.5 seconds slower than McLaren and Ferrari, and around a second slower than Aston Martin and Visa Cash App RB. Last year, the team had much better standings and were on par with Ferrari and Aston Martin, and they even managed to secure second place in the Constructors' Championships. But if day one's results are anything to go by, the team has a challenging road ahead of them. Furthermore, the Silver Arrows also face legality claims over their new front wing, a completely new and ingenious design. The team has shaped the backmost winglet on the front wing in such a way that it is not directly connected to the bodywork, and instead uses wires to comply with regulations. The wing is supposed to direct the airflow in a way that helps the car's balance and increases grip by creating vortices under the vehicle. But just one day into testing, F1's Chief Technical Officer, Pat Simons, told Sky Sports F1's Ted Kravitz that he found the solution genius and appreciated the innovation. He believes that according to the rulebook, the wing is entirely legal, but at the same time, he also questions whether or not he would want it to remain in the sport. One questions then, is that really within the spirit of the rules? It's within the regulations, it's within the letter of the law. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Is it the sort of the thing we want? I don't know. That's perhaps more debatable. I think we need to know really how strong is the effect. The FIA now have a really good aerodynamic group that are capable of looking at these things and saying, yeah, actually, there's nothing wrong with that, or no, hang on, this is starting a trend we don't really want to see. If Mercedes benefits from the new design, many teams from the grid will rush to the FIA to complain about the legality of the wing and will do their best to ensure the team has to adopt a more conventional wing. This will undoubtedly slow the team down, and we could see them drop even further. Toto Wolff also talked to the media and stated that they made every single change in accordance with the FIA's permission and feel they will not be questioned regarding the legality of the wing. What's been put on a car is always following an exchange with the FIA all through the process, Wolff explained. It's not such a thing where you have a clever idea and then you bolt it on to test and you think that could be or couldn't be challenged. That's a long process of dialogue that happens over the winter. I feel we're in an okay place. Still, we have not seen any clear benefit from the time the W15 has spent on the track, and the car itself felt to be a downgrade from last year in terms of performance. But this was only the first day of testing, and no one can say for sure where a team lies in terms of performance. Lewis Hamilton will man the W15 on the second day, and we may observe different results from the 7-time world champion, who is in his last season with the team. It is also possible that Mercedes does not want to push the car before the first race of the season to come out as a surprise. So we would have to wait for the Bahrain Grand Prix before passing any final judgments. Do you think Mercedes have downgraded their car from last year, or are they hiding the true potential of the W15? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula One news.